What's up? Welcome back to another episode of GAMERViCE. You know what it is. GAMERViCE bringing you all the vice you need when it comes to the gaming world. I'm here with my guy, Kevin. Kevin, say hi to the people.
Hi to the people. What's going on, Hank?
Hi to the people. And I am Hank, your host on the greatest gaming show on YouTube. Anyways, this week we're recording after the Game Awards have finally been announced. We saw a lot of video games in the Game Award. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3. That's an awesome win for indie developers. It was a great game from everything I've seen and read. I myself have not played it. I know Kevin has had some time playing the game and he can vouch for it. But without further ado, let's talk about all those games and announcements that we saw because there was a lot to take in. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but some got me excited and a lot not so much. But we're here to talk about the stuff that got us excited. So, Kevin, what did you get most excited about?
All right, so I'm gonna leave. I think there's certain games that were announced at the Game Awards that make the headlines, and then there are certain games that don't quite make the headlines to that extent. And I'm gonna start with one of those dark horses, so to speak, and that would be the one from Hello Game developer, the same developers who did No Man's Sky. They are coming out with a game called Light No Fire.
No Fire.
It's basically a sandbox survival. They're saying it's going to be a planet, but it's going to feel like a huge map, one of the biggest procedural maps that you'll ever feel in a sandbox survival type of game. That to me gets me excited because that developer took No Man's Sky, and if people listening remember, No Man's Sky was a game that when it launched, it got critically reviewed and it got bombed. And they took their time over the next 2 years after that game got developed to update it consistently to get it to the point where now, if you ask people about No Man's Sky, they feel like it's an amazing game, and they've turned it around. It's what Cyberpunk did. No Man's Sky did it first, and they did it better in the sense of turning that game around. So I'm super excited to see what those developers have in store for an open world sandbox game. The way that they showcased it and talked about it, it sounds like it's not a revolution of a sandbox game, but it's an evolution. And I'm excited to see where that goes. But that's one of them. That's one of the games. What about you? I know I think I know where you're gonna go, but let's hear it.
All right. He thinks I know. He knows where I'm gonna go.
I'll tell you if I know. But.
All right. I'm a big superhero guy.
Yep.
Big Marvel guy. Okay. Did you guess right?
Guess right? This is. I left this for you. Go ahead.
So Marvel's Blade is a very, very interesting one, getting brought to us by Bethesda and the guys at Arcane, who dropped a perfectly scored game in Deathloop. This has a lot of potential written all over it. It's kind of interesting how we keep getting these Marvel titles, single players, and they seem to be exclusive because not that this was confirmed nor denied yet, but it's Bethesda Arcane. I don't see how you're going to create and share Marvel's Blade with Sony, knowing you don't touch Spider-Man and the acquisition of Bethesda, that was already a big deal, and Starfield's exclusive. I think Blade has a great shot to be something different when it comes to the superhero games because he's obviously not your regular superhero, right? You know,
right.
Vampire in him, Vampire Hunter himself, and things like that. Definitely very interested and intrigued with what Arcane is going to be able to do with that game, and I'm definitely going to give it a shot. But yeah, that's where I'm going with what I am excited for.
Now, a couple other games that I feel like were big enough to mention. Kojima's OD, that he's collaborating with Jordan Peele. That was a big announcement that they showcased at the Game Awards.
Did just to stop you there before you go?
Yeah.
A bunch of the Easter eggs and pausing and critical, or not even super in detail internet looking at every single detail and frame of the trailer. People think they found references to Silent Hill, which was a game that was canceled in the past that Kojima worked on. That now that when that news was brought to my attention, I really never knew about Silent Hill. But like that's something big that it might be having going for itself, that people that were following and were excited for that game, now they're even more hyped that they see those kind of teasers to that. Is this his version of bringing that title back to life? You know, no one really knows, but that's something else to look out for with that OD title. But a very interesting and strange trailer nonetheless. But it looks like they got some banger of folks working on that game or involved with that game.
Yeah, everybody from the actors that they showcased in the little teaser trailer to Jordan Peele, who is somehow involved in the production of this game. They've got some big names there. Another, I feel like, big title that was showcased and got a release date was Black Myth Wukong.
That's where I was going with my other one, baby.
Black Myth Wukong now has a release date of August 20th. So we've got a while. We got the end of summer. This is the projected release date because God knows that this stuff could get delayed because that's just how we are. That's just how the game industry is now. But that game looks amazing. It always has looked amazing. Even from the teasers from, I feel like it was almost 2 years ago now. It had to have been at least.
There's something about the combat, the flow of the gameplay and how it's looked and been presented from what we've seen. It just looks like it has to hit on all cylinders. It looks like it's going to be a game that people are excited about. And I think put it this way, it's given itself a lot of high expectations, that's for sure. And we know high expectations can sometimes be a killer. You got to live up to them.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one I got my eye on and one I want to try out for sure.
So we also had, funny enough, not that I say this is a big announcement in the sense that it's a long time coming, and it's just funny that it may actually be coming out now, and that is Skull and Bones. Now this was actually, I think the release date was actually announced. If you're in their newsletter, I think it was actually announced maybe a couple weeks, maybe like about 2 weeks ago. But Skull and Bones had a trailer at the Game Awards, and they showcased that it's coming out February 16th. So we're only about 2 months away. I played the beta. I think we both played the beta. Did you play it as well?
I literally can't remember. Like I got access to it, and I feel like I hopped in
and hopped right out.
There was there was just a bunch of issues with it at the time. Like I couldn't get in. It was like something I was stuck on the main screen. And then it was a known issue, and it was like over the weekend, and Ubisoft's support wasn't even working actively, and it was only the beta was live for the weekend. So I never actually got in. So
not to shit on Ubisoft, because I'm not saying that they don't deserve it with all the crap that they've been delaying and the Skull and Bones. And then if you've been following the articles for Skull and Bones, the developers had issues. That I think they even changed developers. They said that it was a toxic environment to develop that game at the time, and this is going on over the course of years. So to actually have this game come out, I played the beta for, I would say, maybe 2 hours, and I'm not saying that to say that I got all the experience in 2 hours, but the 2 hours that I did play, I'll just say that I'm hopeful that the beta feedback was used properly to change up the gameplay and change up some of the mechanics and transitions in the game, because this game, we've talked about it before, you've said it before, they had the blueprint with Black Flag, and they just I don't know what they did, but the beta to me wasn't it. So hopefully they took the feedback. We'll see February 16th. Another game a couple other games real quick. Monster Hunter Wilds comes out in 2025. I don't know why
That's so funny,
this. I don't know why they showcase games like that for over like if whatever. Final Fantasy Rebirth, they had a nice trailer for that. Again, I think that might have been something that had already been out, but they showcased at the Game Awards, so that was cool to see. I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. And God of War had a DLC. God of War
that dropped
Ragnarok
as the
Valhalla dropped 2 days ago. Dropped the 12th, so at the time of recording, 2 days ago. So, and it was a free DLC. So if you had the game, you have access to DLC. So I've heard nothing
but being received, very well.
Yes, I've heard nothing but good things about that game. Jurassic Park had a teaser trailer that doesn't have an announcement yet, or a release date rather. I think that's there's obviously a list of games that came out, but those are the ones that really stick out in my mind for Game Awards, I should say.
I'll just add a few to the list before we move on, but like Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero, that new Dragon Ball Z game for sure looks interesting enough. And we have Suicide Squad. I think it might have finally got its date, but I don't know yet how that game's really going to be. We don't know. We're not feeling confident in that one.
February 2nd.
Okay. And then Ready or Not 1.0 full release finally coming out. That one I'm actually interested in. Actually not have playing or touched the early access of it already, so I didn't want to split. You know what I mean? It's good that I haven't played it. Hopefully when they drop this 1.0 with updates and whatever it is, so fully fleshed out, it's like a Rainbow Six Siege kind of game, you know? I don't know.
Yes, so I will say that it came out yesterday. 1.0 Ready or Not came out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I watched somebody stream it, and they said that the extra mechanics and systems that they added into the game make it such a better game. And the single player campaign is so much better now. That those were his words. He was saying, you know, because he had played the beta or the early access, I should say. He had the game for months now. I've had the game for months now, but I haven't touched it in a while. I'm glad that the 1.0 came out. I'm gonna probably get into it in sometime into early next year. That game, if you don't mind a tactical shooter game where you can't go in guns blazing, you got to be real tactical about it with your team. Those are the
best, baby.
Then that game is a game to look out for. I will say, before we move on from the Game Awards, and I think you'll agree with me, the Game Awards this year, way too long. It was over 3 hours long. There's no need.
Such a drag.
It was such a drag. Listen, it's great that there are all these premieres, and I understand they're probably getting this, you know, advertisement money to fund the Game Awards to begin with. I get it. You got people like Timothée Chalamet and Anthony Mackie in talking about nonsense. Anthony Mackie, no, listen, I get Anthony Mackie is part of the Twisted Metal TV adaptation. I get it. But he took up more time between him and Christopher Judge, who voices Kratos in God of War, took up more time than I think any other person who actually or developer who actually won an award. And that's the show is called the Game Awards. They ran through 80% of those awards.
The awards, yeah, it's stupid. Like, you can't announce them all. I don't understand why they don't actually formally announce them all. Why is it just, okay, and the winner of this one, the winner of this, like, that's actually terrible. Why I don't even want to win an award as a Game Award. Like, I don't even get my respects.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's kind of stupid. Jeff, fix it.
So I think what this award show specifically this year showed that there's a need and a want to see these trailers, but there's also feedback that says, you know what, these developers deserve to have their time to say whatever they want. I mean, there was I forget, I can't remember what developer it was. He was up there talking about how they had lost people during COVID, and they were putting the music on for him to get off stage. And it's just like, come on, man, let the man talk. I mean, what's an extra 20 seconds? How about you stop Christopher Judge from shitting on Call of Duty? I get it's a funny joke, but he could have just, you know, been there to present an award and be done with it, or whatever he was there for. I don't even remember anymore.
Get him out. Like,
he was there to present the award for best performance. by an actor.
And instead of taking up 8 minutes, he took up 5 or 4 still. Like,
Right.
shut up and get on. Like, do your thing, bro.
Right. And then there's obviously there's again, to the point I said I like Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy has already been announced. Those trailers have already, I don't know that they showed anything particularly new, and they had like the orchestra sing a song from the game while showing the trailer. And that's cool and all, but in all honesty, you could have just cut that out.
Yeah.
So anyways, Game Awards, too long, shorten the shit up. 2 hours max. Really. I think that's perfect.
So the Game Awards was too long, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
But Kevin, I want to ask you what was too short now. What was short-lived? What was not long enough? Anything come to mind?
Well, yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, to some people it was short-lived. To some people who played it, they were like, it got exactly what it deserved. And that is the day before. If you guys are familiar, man. Developer Fantastic released the day before. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, they released it the same date as the Game Awards.
Yes, that was that day, the morning it was happening all day.
So just to recap, the day before has been through some of the craziest journey for a developer. They got sued for their name. Their Steam page got taken down because at one point they were going to have to change their name. Then somehow everything got squared away and they were able to get their name back and their Steam page was back up. Then leading up until the minute on Steam, you did not know how much the price was unless you found out otherwise, like through the Discord server
yeah.
Right. So finally, early access comes. It's a $40 game. Listen, I'm not saying what you should do with your money. Early access, I don't know, $40 for a game, especially with one that was so iffy on what you were actually getting, because let's face it, they didn't show too much gameplay in leading up to its release.
Yeah.
So finally, this game gets released, and it turns out they wanted to showcase it, or they were trying to showcase it as an MMO survival, and it turns out this game is just a simplified, watered down extraction shooter. It's like if you took Division's DMZ zone and you added water to it. Like it's just like, and you just added, instead of proprietary assets, you just got assets from the Unreal Engine like marketplace or something like that. It was bad. It was basic. It was simple. It was just getting shitted on left and right from
empty world.
It was such an empty world. It was getting bad press from everybody. 2 days later, they shut down their Discord server, and by day 4, they've shut down the game. They announced
unbelievable.
They announced, and I don't know if this was the only way they announced it, but they announced via Twitter, or X now, that they didn't have the funds to continue working on this game, so they were going to shut it down. And initially, in that little press release that they had on Twitter, they said that they were going to use the funds that they had gotten from the early access to pay off their debts, which is fucking wild. To be like, okay, you had 4 days of the game, you paid $40, you don't get that money back because we got to pay off our debts. That's what they said. And then now, luckily, since then, between Steam and them, they have said that if you want a refund, which you should want a refund, no matter if you've played it for over 2 hours or not, you can request a refund for the game. So that's the silver lining on this. But that's all to say, just an amazing journey. Just I can't believe how horrible it's been. I mean, what do you think?
They scammed us. They scammed gamers like no other. It has been a fluke since the beginning. There was one of the ex-developers that was working on the game that I guess did an interview with DualShockers and claims that they must have been getting lied to the whole time. I guess it's two brothers that are the ones running Fantastic Studio, and they apparently are big douchebags. It was a terrible development process. Apparently, anytime the development team tried to bring ideas to them, it always went through those two guys and they shut everything down. Even then, sometimes would bring things up months later that were already brought up then as their own ideas, and they would try to implement it. The developers, since they were scared and they were always, people were, if you fought against the brothers, apparently they would just fire you, break contracts, and just get rid of you. Like ugly workplace environment type things like that. And that it has always been inside of development, has always been an extraction shooter. And these developers were quiet, apparently, and because they didn't want to, their risk of getting fired or anything like that, their job. They have no idea why they were kept in the dark and why it was being advertised as an MMO survival zombie thing. And Fantastic even deleted the videos on their YouTube page that alluded to these things that were proof of them lying about the kind of game it was. So that's just another thing to me that just proves the scam.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like you did it and then it's like, yo, something really could have went bad and you guys, misinterpret. You were lying about what game it was. So therefore, I don't want to hear shit you got to say. You clearly were full of BS from the jump. And I don't know why you're writing to us in your note. Just know we didn't take a single dollar from you guys before release. Like, as you shouldn't have. Like I don't know why you're telling us that. Is that to help us feel good? Like, nobody put in Kickstarter money into the like. Okay, cool. You sound fishy bringing up money to begin with, and then thank God a day later it looks like they're working on getting refunds. But you know what the sad part is too that goes with it? That there's, I'm sure, because it was at one point like top wish listed on Steam from what people were seeing in trailers. And I don't know, but like I'm sure a very high amount of people bought the game. And it's one of those things where you don't realize percentages, where I'm guaranteeing you people that played the game don't keep up with Twitter, that don't even go on a Twitter page, see IGN or any news outlet that's covering it, know that these guys have probably canceled the game or that they're willing to refund it. Like, I guarantee there's people that will not even get a refund because they're just never even going to ask for it, and they literally bought it. So it's such a scam to me. I mean, that's on those people a little bit, but it's also like, that's not on you. I'm saying they literally sold the game that was not a game 4 days later. It's literally gone. So it is just the most obnoxious thing a developer could do. And they even respond to people on Twitter and seem to like with somebody ripping them, and they're like, tough shit happened, like shit happens like this. It's like, yeah, shit happens, but like at this level, the grand scheme that you just did is not okay. So I don't know. It's left a bad taste in my mouth. To
your point,
yeah.
The peak amount of, according to Steam DB, you can see a whole bunch of info on games, including the peak player count. So mind you, this game has only been out for a week, if that, and it's already shutting down. They had 38,000 people as their peak player count at one time. So that means basically almost 40,000 people purchased this game on early access. So 40,000 times $40, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
160.
So we're at $1.6 million.
Well, 1.6, 160. I had the zero.
So
1.6 million. Jesus.
So they made 1.6 million, and 4 days later they shut down the game.
Yeah, it is just a perfect, and I mean perfect. Thank you, Fantastic. Blueprint example for what not to do if you're going to make a company and sell a game. So anybody needs motivation out there or needs to show their teams what we don't want to do, here is your example. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. The two doofuses running a show. That's what we're going to call them. Because boy, oh boy, were they dumb and rude and obnoxious from what's coming out.
And it sucks too because I'm sure there's probably going to be a game or a set of developers, probably indie developers, who are trying to make a game, maybe through Kickstarter, maybe through early access on Steam or a combination, and they put out similar type of not quite gameplay, but teaser, but maybe a little bit of gameplay, but not really the full type of gameplay, and then people are going to remember this.
Yeah,
this, like you
now
said, this was the number one.
It's going to make it difficult for in some other companies.
Yep,
now,
it's going to make it difficult. This is the number one wish listed game on Steam, and they just completely shit the bed, completely scammed every single person who.
It's just this is literally like a crypto scam, man. Like this is crazy.
It really is.
It literally is. It's literally they pulled the rug from underneath.
So
it's just wild.
And if it looks weird and it smells fishy, then just don't buy into it until they show you proof. That's what we learned from this. And funny I say fishy because Skull and Bones is a pirate sea game, and I think that's the next game you do not buy until you see proof that game is legit. Like,
yeah, that one is just weird because it's like, okay, it's Ubisoft, this very well-known company, so it's like the game, yes, is a game, but it's fishy in the sense of like, bro, it's probably it's been stripped down and redone so many times where they talk about it. It's almost like I'm shocked of all the games you hear about that get canceled, like how they just didn't cancel this one.
Yeah,
they really, it's almost like are grasping for this one to be like something. And it's just very weird how Black Flag wasn't just used right off the rip as the blueprint. It's just very odd. And it just looks like the cartoony Sea of Thieves is the one that's going to live as that kind of game still, because Skull and Bones is going to be missing so much. Even after releasing, they're going to be still so far behind the 8 balls with what Sea of Thieves is doing. So yeah. I just don't. I don't see it.
Time will tell. Be smart with your money, people.
And on that note, as we wrap things up here, just a little bit of information, which is very sad to hear, is that Naughty Dog has now officially canceled The Last of Us multiplayer. Something people were definitely looking forward to. Something we would have liked to see. One of these single-player games from PlayStation that it's always single-player, banger. These guys were going to try to give a multiplayer thing going, and it's canceled. So it's almost like, yo, Sony, do you got a multiplayer game in you? Or are you just single-player bangers? I don't know.
I will say, to counter this, I have respect for Naughty Dog because their issue was that they didn't know if they would have the means to keep up and maintain a live service game. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why they decided to cancel it. And also, I think what helped or what didn't, depending on how you look at it, is what happened with Sony and Bungie right now, where Bungie is like reportedly possibly gonna get is in a position where if they do bad in their earnings, I believe Sony can take over leadership of Bungie instead of it being like an independent thing like it is currently now. So I think those two things combined made Naughty Dog say, okay, we got to cancel this game. And at the very least, it means that people are not wasting their time and or money in a game that won't ever get the development it should.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, very true. But that about does it here for us, ladies and gentlemen. We had some stuff to talk about today. Everybody, go make sure you roast the day before, folks, just because that's just rude what they did to us. So we're going to give it back to them, okay? Tenfold. Thanks for tuning in. Please drop a comment, chime in. Let us know what you thought about. Let us know what you're excited about from the Game Awards. Let us know if you thought the Game Awards was better and we're crazy, because that shit dragged. But yeah, let us know if you bought the day before. Let us know how you feel if you did buy the day before. Kevin, you have any last remarks?
Listen, it's the end of the year. Let's leave it on a positive note. You know, Christmas is around the corner. You're going to get some good games. You're going to have some time to spend with your family and friends and be able to play these games. Do it. Let's live it up. Let's just stay positive towards the end of this year and go into the new one fresh and refreshed. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, man. Well, that does it here for us at GamerVice, baby. You already know what it is. GamerVice, giving you all the vice you need. We'll catch you in the next one, ladies and gentlemen. See ya.
Peace.